Hey guys, just to let you know that Borderlands and The Last Ones are on Tubi right now. That's Tubi. It's a streaming service. You probably have it on your PlayStation or on your phone. Check it out. The Last Ones is a zombie drama. It's in black and white. The first black and white zombie movie, I think it is. I'm not going to check though, or, you know. And also, Borderland is a mexploitation film about the cartels, and it's a lot of fun. And if you're like, hey, I want to learn about how El Paso is, well, don't watch my film because it's not like how it is at all. But if you want to watch a fun movie set in El Paso, check it out. It's a lot of fun. Borderland and The Last Ones on Tubi. Check them out now. And now, let's start with the show. Hello, and welcome to The Bomb Squad, where we're running out of movies. You know me. My name's Andrew Hada. I'm a writer-director. I just made a short film that you should check out on my YouTube page. There's probably a link somewhere, if I remember. There's a new short about Freddy Krueger. So yeah. Anyway, we got a special guest on today. William Murdock has returned.
Hello.
He's returned and he's immediately regretted it. And also,
Yes.
Josh is here per usual. So today we tried. Okay, so the reason I picked this movie is because as a kid, I would rent this movie every. There's like a genre of movies I thought this was He-Man. and,
Yeah, definitely.
and so I would rent these movies that kind of looked like they were He-Man related, and then I would watch them. And I rented this movie probably like 6 or 7 times, and I did not retain any information. So I was like, you know what? Let's check the tube. Let's check the Tubi and see if we're on if it's up there, and it was. Then so now we're here and clearly wasting time based on the fact that I've been introing it for 2 minutes. The movie we picked is the 1989 sci-fi adventure Arena. Josh, will you tell us what Arena is about?
When you said
But
sci-fi
only
adventure, what was
only
adventure in
from
quotes?
only from the only from the POV of Armadillo Man.
Yeah. Or even just armadillo.
There's at least 3 of them that could be described as a somewhat
There's
armadillo
clearly
man.
only one Armadillo Man.
Spinner.
There's one guy who's literally just a big armadillo. Okay, Josh, what's this movie about?
A man, a white man, Caucasian male, Steve Armstrong, wants to get back to Earth and is roped into the world of arena space fighting on a space station.
Yeah, that is what it's about. That laugh was not a. It was not a. Oh man, he's making this up. That was actually what this movie is about.
It's this reminded me of like in the old NES games that would just have like a little quick cut scene between like you punching aliens.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
kind of felt like someone made a movie of one of those types of games,
That's literally what I told Andrew, that it seems like a video game adaptation of a game that doesn't actually exist.
So this movie was directed by Peter Manogin.
Yeah,
It was
couldn't
written
tell.
by Danny Bilson and Paul DeMeo, and it stars Paul Satterfield, Hamilton Camp, and Claudia Christian, who nobody's ever heard of. Also,
Is that the pop star?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so the world is in the future, like everyone lives on a space station, and then like in the middle of the space station, alien fights. And the funny thing is that like they make it a point to say, I guess to like do plausible deniability, but they're like, yeah, if you're in the ring, they've made it so that everyone's equal in the ring. And so, like, if you're a big, like, at one point, he fights like a big spider monster, and they're like, so they would be essentially equal, and so it just comes down to like skill and like quickness. But here's the other thing: one of them's like a giant monster. So what are you saying? Like, if he steps on you, wouldn't you still get stepped on by like a 3-ton monster?
Right, like if a bear came into the ring, could a human punch out the bear? Like, you don't really think about
Well,
it.
the answer is yes. Because like, and then he's wearing gloves, but none of the monsters are wearing gloves, and they should be wearing gloves because they have monster claws.
Right. Very unfair advantage.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
very weird. Like, if anything, that guy shouldn't be wearing gloves because we don't even have good nails.
Right. And then also they can use this technology for like wars and like other types of like
Yeah.
conflicts, like match strength. Like it seems like this is a really weird exclusive application for this technology.
Well, if I know anything about capitalism, this is exactly what they would use this
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
late fucking
technology.
stage capital.
It is so you could see, yeah, who the football of the future could use stuff like
and
that.
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
then yeah, because they even say like, okay, so the main character he starts off as a waiter,
right.
and he's like,
No,
if you don't,
Short
he's a
order cook.
short order
Yeah.
cook.
yeah, I mean it's the same.
It's not because
He
the
can
And
cook
cooks
his
are
over
more
his
name
like
waiter.
seedy.
He doesn't
his
cut off
name
his
is
toilet
Steve
bowl.
Armstrong.
His name is America White Man.
Yeah. And so if you the only way for you to stay on the space station is if you keep working. And then he like gets in a fight with a monster, and he beats up the monster, and then like the
I,
intercom is like, hey, you're fired.
Yeah, at a
he
space Burger
he
King, by the way.
he
At a
also
space Burger
says,
King.
I think he does space racism to the monster first because he's like, last time I saw a face like that, it had a hook in it because it's a fish man. And it's like, come on, man.
There's like an underlying unintentional, you could tell they didn't mean this, but like segregation theme going on
Totally,
with
yeah.
the
Because you
character.
do.
Yeah, they even like okay, so he loses his job, and this little guy who's like he's a Nebulan. He's just a short guy, like with I guess he has four arms,
Yeah.
but
Oh, I
they
Yeah,
got
he
don't
has
want to
four.
use
four
him a
arms.
lot, so he kind of hides this other two arms under his cloak.
He has
But
four arms, and two of them are always sleepy.
Yeah.
he's like, oh, come stay with me. And Steve doesn't want to do it, and it's like Steve is so subtly space racist. He would rather like sleep on the streets than like go to this guy's apartment.
Yeah. Dirty
To be
arms.
fair, if there was a guy and he had four arms and he was like, "Hey, come sleep with me. I have a nice, safe place for you."
Yeah, down this
I'd
long
probably think
ladder.
about it. So yeah, so then he gets fired from his job, and then the I'm gonna call him Hansy was like, "Come stay with me and live in my house." And then they're like, "Hey, you could fight because you're like a good fighter." And then they're like, "Well, no human has ever fought before." And then like we go through like 20 minutes of him just trying to get a job.
Yeah, there is a lot of filler in
There's
this
a
not
lot of
very long
A lot of space
movie.
exposition.
realism. Like it's hard out there in the
They really
streets.
wanted to hammer home how desperate he is. And so then he eventually like he meets this girl, and she like runs, like she's like a manager, and also the guy who's in charge of the main all the fights. He's just like a silver guy whose silver paint comes and goes depending on
Yeah,
how.
Yeah,
they did not do the silver around the edges of his face. You could
yeah.
kind of see in some scenes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he looks less like his skin is silver, and he looks more like he's been making out with the dudes from Fury Road.
but I do
It's
kind
just
of
like washed
appreciate
off on
like
him.
Chrome.
they kind of have that like Star Trek original series thing of like, you know what, this is just a guy, but his ears are kind of different, so he's actually a god.
Well, see,
Just
and
like
Yeah,
believe it.
here's the okay. So that's the main guy, and then his like henchman is this guy who looks like a weasel, and he's like clearly shady, and
yeah.
his name is Weasel.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was like, is the implication that in this universe they know what a weasel is and they've named him Weasel, or is it like it's a nickname that he goes by because he knows that he's shady and also looks like a weasel? Like,
No, I was watching with subtitles on, and they spell it Wezil, so it's just purely a
Oh, nice.
coincidence that it sounds like the Earth Weasel, and he looks like and acts like one.
it would be so funny if like at one point Steve Armstrong was just staring at him and he's like, "So your name's Weasel?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "I got to tell you something about that a little later."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then he gets to his first fight. And the first, like, I will say, and that's the good that I'm going to bring up in this movie. Despite the fact that this movie was made for what we made Empty Space for, they really did go all out with the big monsters that he's
Yeah,
fighting. Like, the
the,
first monster he
yeah.
fights is a spider monster. And he has, like, well, he's more like a,
He
like,
is like
like a
they call
praying
him
mantis.
sloth, but he's like a spider lizard man
Yeah.
Well,
beast.
he has like the back part that looks like an insect, but then he has the top part that looks like a human, and he has claws. And Steve Armstrong's like, I better put on gloves to fight this literal monster.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're gonna get salmonella.
Yeah. So and then okay, so the purpose of the game is that you have to like knock the other person out of the ring 3 times. Or maybe that's not how you win. Maybe that's just another way to win.
I did not pick up on the rules.
Well,
Yeah,
It's
because
kind of a blur.
he gets knocked out of the ring twice, and then they're like, if you get knocked out one more time, that's it. It's like that
yeah,
seems really easy to when you're fighting. Like for how dangerous they make this game seem, just kind of sumo wrestling a big monster it seems like the easiest way to do it.
yeah,
So then he gets knocked out, and then he eventually like, and again because this movie's budget was limited, and despite the fact that I just said that they went all out with the monsters, the monster cannot move very
Yeah, I was gonna
well.
say
Just
they
fail.
look really good, but they do not have mobility, like
Yeah,
Yeah,
any
they
of them. So they try to cut around it, but you could tell.
yeah,
yeah,
I appreciate that they went all out, and I also appreciate that like even though the monster didn't move at all, they're still like, let's do it, let's go for this. So yeah, he beats that guy, and then everyone's like, "Oh my god, a human has won!" And so they're all like super happy about it. And I was like, I think it's kind of cool that like the hero of this movie was very like humble. He wasn't like I expected him to kind of be like a dick, but they made him into like this weird humble guy, which didn't make him interesting,
yeah.
but it did make him different than how I expected him to be.
He was kind of like Dante from Clerks. Just like I'm not even
Yeah,
supposed
he
to be here fighting.
He is very begrudging, and then he kind of
Yeah,
just falls into it.
yeah,
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 yeah, he does.
he's very like it's funny because he's like I don't want to do it, but also I'm excellent at it when I
yeah,
finally try. You know, it's just
Yeah.
it's yeah. It
Like
kind of
he
has
thought
that Conan like feel of like the old comics where it's like, oh, this guy just tries it and he's better than every alien ever could be, you know.
yeah.
yeah,
So
And so like then the silver guy starts getting mad and then he's like also yeah, the guy's blonde and he doesn't I don't know. It's this is a weird movie in that all the actors like nobody does a bad job, but nobody stands out really.
they all kind of look like J. Crew models too. I don't know.
They
There's a
do.
weird like artificiality to everything. Yeah.
yeah,
And in the future they don't have any more Uggies.
yeah. They all
They've
live in the
put up the
tubes. Yeah,
yeah. So then there's like a montage of him training, and that's where our favorite character, the Armadillo Man, comes in to not really do anything other than take punches. And it's like if you just wanted him to get punched, why didn't you just use a punching bag? Why do you have to use an Armadillo Man?
that's a good question.
It's also funny because that Armadillo Man has the most mobility out of everyone.
Yeah, they don't really use it for like a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess because that scene is longer than any other fight scene. So then we have like a training montage. It's weird how little we actually spend watching them fight. I guess it's not that weird because the monsters don't move in any way.
Yeah, really relying on like the strong characterization and
They
going
save
back
it
to
for
the story.
the
They
final
they
monster is just a guy, so he could just run around a lot.
Yeah, he's just a guy
Horn.
with horns, and he's the main leader. At the beginning, we see him. It's funny, like there's a part at the beginning where we see like the current champion, and he has like horns, and he's half machine, and he's
Yeah,
beating up like a robot, and then like he beats the shit out of the robot, and he like tears out all his circuits and like throws them, and then it cuts to like the next scene, and like there's like a doctor, and he's like, I don't know if we can save him, doc, and it's like it's a robot.
Yeah. Maybe he was a cyborg. You don't know.
Oh,
it's still,
maybe that's very true.
I you didn't investigate the deep lore of
yeah,
Arena to know. Like,
Yeah, it is funny. Okay, because he has his costume or his like fighting gear, and the fighting gear is almost made to like disadvantage him in every single way. Like,
yeah,
there's like just pieces over his like chest and stomach, but like it's not like a guard. It's like just like a framing for his heart.
yeah, it's like he has pauldrons but no shirt, so it almost looks like fetish gear. It's
yeah,
like I don't know what this is for.
Yeah, if you were a monster and you had to aim anywhere, you would aim to the places that the armor's pointing at with its
yeah,
open windows. And then he's wearing like white gloves that kind of go over his hand. It's like,
yeah.
yeah. He's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does feel like they found costumes from Robot Jox and we're like, you know what, we'll just use this part of the costume, and it's like a new
Yeah.
costume.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
So
like, but this part doesn't have the shirt or the pants. They're like, oh, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out eventually.
it goes the way
Well,
you'd expect. He does fight the arena champion. There's some trickery where they try to turn off the machine that equalizes the strength,
right.
and that's how they're going to beat him finally.
Well, and then they draw. Okay, so then this guy who doesn't want to participate in anything, he meets a girl, and the girl's like, "Hey, you want to come back to my room?" And he's like, "Hell yeah!"
Oh yeah. Yeah.
S- so then, so then they have sex, and
To relax.
she ends up, huh?
Then he's like, I need to relax. She's like,
Yeah, he
how do
does
you want to
tell her.
relax though? Like the
It's so
weirdest
funny because
question.
like, yeah, the whole movie he doesn't have any emotions, and then the girl's like, "Hey, how's the fight going?" He's like, "Oh, we should go somewhere and relax. I need to relax."
Yeah. She's just
And it's
down. Like no convincing. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Neither of them needed to be like tricked into this. They were both just ready to go.
Yeah. From the casino scene.
Yeah.
The first meet.
And so yeah, they have sex, and then she does. Do you guys remember how she
She,
drugs him? Is
she
there?
Yeah.
isn't she just like, oh, drink this, it'll help you relax or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
She's
Well,
like a
Oh,
toast.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
so like yeah, so then he's drugged, and then they have this rule where you have to show up, but like nobody checks on him. They're like, "Where is he?" And then the main guy's like, "I told you, he's a coward."
Yeah. Lucius Malfoy.
Yeah. And then he shows up and he's like, "I'm drunk. I've been drugged." And they're like, "If he hadn't come in like 10 minutes, he would have died." And then
Yeah.
he's like, "I gotta go fight." And they're like, "All right."
Yeah, it's very weird. Like they kind of just drug him to be like, "Oh, you're gonna be more hungover than you would
Yeah.
be otherwise," but not
Yeah.
like, "Oh, you're like deathly ill and vomiting." They're like, "You're just gonna be sluggish for a bit." So,
You're like, please. I was like, oh, my
Yeah.
please.
this
Jesus.
this poison is the equivalent of eating like a too large meal at Thanksgiving, and like you
Yeah.
kind of don't want to get
Yeah.
up. Yeah,
Yeah. They used all their resources to make him a little bit sleepier than he
Yeah.
normally would be.
Normally it works. I
So
don't know.
yeah, I mean, yeah. The manager, who's a female and maybe his love interest, is like, "Oh, who were you with last night?" And he's like, "That's none of your business." And she's like, "Well, you're not even strong enough to fight." And then he goes, "I'm strong enough to do this." And he like tries to throw a punch, and then and then the forearmed guy catches him. And I'm like, "Were you trying to hit that woman in the face?"
Yeah. He's really self-destructive. It's like not like trying to
Yeah.
get home.
yeah. He is a white man,
Yeah.
so
For a guy who didn't want to hit like anyone, now he's
Yeah.
just like going crazy.
Yeah. He
he
reminds
doesn't
me of
like to be
like Johnny
questioned.
Rico from Starship Troopers and like kind of like Marty Funkhauser from Curb Your Enthusiasm. Like the way he like
Yeah, he
talks.
does. Yeah.
Fine, oh no. Just kind of drunk.
And it's also that thing where like the girl, the like hooker girl that he hooks up with, and then him, and then the love interest. If you told me that these people were like 25, or if you told me they were 45, I would like believe both, because like they
Yeah.
all look oddly
So to say, like it's
and
so weird, like and their hairstyles are so like weird
80s.
medieval peasant 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
it's
see, I did like that. Like everyone, not only did they go all out in it, but they also like everyone has the dumbest future costumes.
Yeah.
Like at one point, he's wearing like a jumpsuit with like a lightning bolt that's silver across the chest.
Oh, and those bed sheets, like the silver foil bed sheets.
Yeah, they did
Pretty
that
cool.
thing that like Red Letter Media makes fun of, where they're like, "Why did you have to make them space bed sheets?
Yeah.
Why couldn't they just be normal bed sheets?"
No one will ever know.
Yeah, especially like, why do you even need bed sheets if you're in a space station and the temperature's controlled?
Yeah.
Okay, so they do the fight. Obviously, he wins, but then the bad guy just throws Weasel off the roof of like his like where he's watching, and everyone just watches
Oh
Weasel
yeah.
violently fall down and die. And it's like, why did you? why did like everything else here is so tame, and then they're like, oh, but we really gotta fucking kill this weasel guy.
I know because he's
Yeah.
such a shady character. Also, his girlfriend leaves him, which is funny because she's like, "I know I helped poison the hero, but I'm gonna try to go be with him again."
Wait, okay, so is his manager the love interest, or is she just like
I
his
don't.
friend?
They keep it vague, but also they imply that the girl who poisoned him falls for him.
See,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. You can keep it vague if he's not also attracted to someone else. What's the difference?
Right.
Um, so yeah, guys, we talked way longer about this movie than I thought we were gonna be able
I
to.
know. I'm like reaching
More than 10
my
minutes.
pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. With this episode, I was like, holy shit, this episode is gonna be 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
But I think that's hard. Like, it's because it's so like the good things are things that you have to see. So when you watch the YouTube version of this, it'll make more sense. And the
Yeah.
bad things are like kind of the stuff that's it's not really bad. It's just not like spectacular, you know. So yeah, guys, welcome to the Bomb Squad. Where I mean, some of our normal episodes, like we did Dead Presidents and it got no views, but then we did the East and it got a shitload of views. So who knows how this movie's gonna go?
Yeah.
Sometimes we get a lot of views just because we're the only people who've reviewed the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the one-stop shop. If you've heard of it but don't want to watch it, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
So guys, speaking of movies that nobody wants to watch, my movies are on Tubi. Just type in my name, you'll find both of them. Watch them back to back, and also watch my short films. They're on my short film page, which is linked below, if I remember. And come back next week when we probably will pick a movie that's not this hard to talk about. William, any last thoughts?
Um, I don't know. Not really. I would say we didn't really defuse the bomb on Arena. We just kind of left it alone and appreciated the craftsmanship that it really tried to attain to. And it's
Yeah,
like
sometimes you just gotta walk away.
sometimes you just gotta walk away. Exactly. You don't
That's
have
the
to live
number
in the
one
headlock.
motto
Yeah.
of the bomb squad.
Mm-hmm. Future battles.
Uh,
Future battles.
yeah, figure out. That's what I like to think the bomb squad does when they're like, "We got a bomb at City Hall." It's like, no, that's gonna go off, dude.
Yeah. I'm not gonna get there in time. I don't know.
Yeah, there's no. We're not even gonna start the car. Like it's too far away. It's
Yeah.
like 20 minutes. Well, all right, guys. We'll see you guys next time on the Bomb Squad.